你的灯可以小一点点吗？
更小一点。
其实很难哈。OK，快点，sorry 啊，大了。可以啦，这个比较好。你帮我拿那个 mouse pad 来。
那你后面还有东西做吗？
Hi, sorry, is the screen okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ah, okay. Oh, 关门。要，你拿laptop 出来。
Can we begin?
Yeah. Namaste. Welcome to the Yoga Scholars PGIMER page. Today, I'm welcoming Mr. Edmund on the behalf of Integrative Medicine Case Report. Mr. Edmund is a principal TCM physician at EMW, Beijing, and he has done double degree. He has done his graduation from Nanyang Technological University in Biomedical Sciences, and another graduation in TCM, that is Traditional Chinese Medicine, from Beijing University of Traditional Chinese Medicine. So today he's sharing his knowledge about how we can boost our immunity using TCM acupressure. So we can start now, sir. We welcome you.
Hi everyone, sorry, can you hear me right? Okay, so my name is Edmund. I'm a TCM physician in EMW Physiotherapy and TCM clinic in Singapore, and I'm very honored to be here today. Okay, so now because of the current situation, a lot of us are actually working more from home, using more of our phones and computers most of the time. So disruption to our regular working patterns have actually added a lot of stress to our lifestyle. So today I'm going to share with all of you certain acupressure points that we can actually press on, to alleviate some of our problems. So I'm always being asked in my clinic, if acupuncture or actually acupressure can actually boost our immune system. The answer is yes. In fact, it's amazing to do so because acupuncture is 1,000 over years old, and TCM had actually understood immunity for quite a long time. So in a fast-paced world, it's easy to overwork ourselves, take on too many commitments, and extend yourself to the point of exhaustion. So if we abuse our bodies, push ourselves too hard, eat poor, don't exercise, fail to release tension, our immune system will actually weaken. And then we'll be more prone to illnesses such as our common flu. So in the current situation of COVID-19, so it's very important that our immune system don't fall during this period. Okay, so acupressure is signal to acupressure is like sending a signal to our body, to turn on itself healing or regulatory mechanisms. So normally qi, or in yoga we call it prana. So it circulates around this thing called meridians. So when the qi, or rather the prana, doesn't really flow well, there's a blockage or there's an imbalance of yin and yang, or rather in the balance of doshas, can actually cause illnesses and pain. So acupressure actually helps to correct the functional imbalances. So we actually can do this just with our own hands, or rather some objects like a pen, so if done regularly, this method of self-massage can actually sustain improvement and minimize recurrence of symptoms. So some precautions that before we start. So in general, acupressure is very safe. So unless if you have cancer, arthritis, and heart diseases, of course you have to consult a doctor. Avoid acupressure if you have treatment. If your acupressure treatment is in the area of a cancerous tumor, or if the cancer has actually spread to bones. If you have rheumatoid arthritis, spinal injury, bone diseases that can be actually made worse by physical manipulation, then you better avoid acupressure. If you have varicose veins, then as well as if you are pregnant, it's better to avoid acupressure because certain acupoints can actually induce labor, which I'll talk about that more later. So the first thing that actually affects our immunity, this is actually our sleep. So there's one interesting study that showed that there's 164 men and women. They're actually exposed to rhinovirus and isolated for 6 days. And it found that those who sleep between 5 to 6 hours, or rather less than 5 hours, they're at a higher risk of developing cold compared to those sleeping 7 hours or more. So actually a conclusion can be made. Shorter sleep duration is actually associated with increased susceptibility to the common cold. So the bottom line is focusing on better sleep habits is a great way to strengthen your immune system. So the sweet spot for sleep is around 6 to 8 hours. So if you stick to a regular bedtime and a wake up schedule, it's not like you sleep in during the weekends. Avoid screens, night eating, blue light, and exercise right before bedtime. So that will actually help your sleep better. So before I actually go into details of how we see insomnia in terms of TCM, I'd like to mention a bit of our biological clock. This clock here. Okay, we can leave this to later. You can look at this clock here. So a little bit of history. So when we go back home, maybe around 7 p.m. after our work, 7 p.m. is here. So this is the perfect time to actually relax, because this is the time for our pericardium, which is the area near our heart. So pericardium enjoys the feeling of protection, safety, and love. So this is the perfect time for, in terms of TCM, meditation, light reading, relaxation. So maybe you have a light meal before 9 p.m. So between 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., this is the triple burner, which is, in terms of biomedical terms, we can refer it to the endocrine system. So when this is activated, our hormones are actually swapping roles from stimulating, from sympathetic to relaxing, melatonin, serotonin, those who are making us going to sleep. So the metabolic rate starts to lighten up to allow us to fall into sleep. So from 11 to 1 a.m., this is the gallbladder. This is in fact the best time to sleep. I would say for now, we just try to stick to our sleeping time between 9 to 11 plus, because that's better, because this is the time of gallbladder. So bile is being released and our blood is running around at full speed, cleaning up the whole day. All the dead cells, fixing up and repairing all our different body system. So between 1 to 3, this is our liver. So during this time, we should be in deep sleep right now. Blood is in the detox mode, our body is in rest and recovery. So when we wake up, if we wake up during this time, we will not wake up in the morning feeling rested. So this is the extreme important time to be asleep. So those who are actually sleeping late, after 1, 2, and 3, even during COVID times where we actually sleep later, we are actually hurting ourselves during this time. Liver. So on and so forth. I mean, I'll focus more on the sleeping timing, all the organs that is involved. So hopefully when we arrive well slept, ready and relaxed for our breakfast for 7 to 9 a.m. So unfortunately, our body don't really go according to this natural biological clock. So that's why it happens when patients will often ask, I can't sleep. I can sleep only at 5 a.m. in the morning. That's because we actually jumble up in our biological clock. So there are a lot of factors that can actually cause insomnia, or rather we couldn't really sleep. First of all is our discomfort or pain, discomfort or pain conditions like, cough, arthritis, or rather our snoring that wakes us up, or psychological factors like anxiety and like noise or exercise before bedtime, mental health problems as well as alcohol or caffeine. In terms of other problems, like dietary habits like overeating, heavy meals, consumption of caffeinated or alcoholic beverages, emotions such as anger, sorrow, and happiness. All this can cause insomnia as well. Even prolonged illness and old age. So there are a lot of factors that actually causes us insomnia or lack of sleep. So how do we actually alleviate this problem? There are a few acupoints that actually help with sleeping. One of them is the first one. This is 内关. This is 内关穴. Okay, so you can call it NG because this is an insomnia point. So how do we actually locate it? So on our hand, on our hand this way. So in fact, you can it's 2 fingers if you are big hand. So if not, then you can 3 fingers. So 2 fingers between the 2 tendons here. There's this point here that you press onto it. You should feel a little sore and tender. Sore and tender. So when you press onto it, go into circles. 1, 2, 3. And then after that, another way. 1, 2, 3. So this is one of the most effective pressure point for sleeping. So it also alleviates nausea and vomiting, motion sickness, and whenever that, it's not just during pregnancy. So whenever that you feel uncomfortable, after a long ride, a long bus journey, and you feel nausea, it can actually help to alleviate. So in terms of headache, in terms of even gastric problems, you can actually also help to do this. It also helps when you press onto 内关穴. So another pressure point. This is the insomnia point.神门, same thing on our hand. So there's a lot of crease here. The most obvious crease, outside of the second tendon here. So this is the point on the last finger, pinky toe. So here, this is 神门. So you can press onto here. You can go in circles as well. This is a very, very relaxing acupoint that can actually help to, help to relax yourself when you are depressed or you are stressed out. This can help. So you can go in circles. 1, 2, 3, and then the other way. 1, 2, 3. So this is the part of 神门. So there are 2 acupoints, 内关 and 神门. So then after that, we can go on to the next problem, which I think a lot of us also have, and that is our diet and digestion. So a lot of us, some of us may experience bloatedness, indigestion. Then, when we couldn't really eat well, a lack of appetite. So actually, TCM view the process of digestion differently from the way we think about it in Western medicine, because we don't just look into the protein, the carbohydrates, the fats, the fiber, vitamins, micronutrients, and the macronutrients. We actually look into the energetics of the food. I think it's the same in Ayurveda, But of course, in terms of properties, there's a little difference. So in terms of food energies, cold, we have for cold, cool, warm, and hot. So then I can leave this slide here. You can screenshot it. Then actually, this list is not exhaustive. There are a lot more to it, but this can be a general guide. So the food energy, the energetic property of it is also there's also directional flow. For example, when you take in spicy food, you're taking chili. So you start to, you have mucus, you start to tear, your face turns red, your ears turns red. This is because the energy is upward flowing. So when you take something like barley and green beans, so the energy is downward flowing. So that's why you'll go to the toilet, you pee a few times after you drink barley water or green bean soup. So that's the difference between what we actually look into in terms of diet and food. It's not just about, okay, green bean, there's protein, per 100 grams, how many proteins are there? Chili, I mean, how much vitamin C is there in the chili? So no, we don't really look into this that much. So this is another way of viewing food. So when TCM doctors, we talk about diseases, we actually talk about the internal imbalances that causes our qi and blood to stagnate, or that rather don't really flow well. So when it comes to digestion, the major area we look at is stomach, the liver, and the spleen. So I'll give an example. So what does the spleen means? Spleen is not just that organ that helps to produce that helps in our immune system and our blood system. No, the spleen actually refers to a functional entity. It's a digestive system. So together with stomach, it governs the absorption of food, as well as the dispersal, the assimilation of the food, throughout the body. So sending all the fluids, the kidneys and the bladder, and the entire body as well. So if you are experiencing diarrhea, bloatedness, headaches, you might have a malfunctioning spleen. So as I said, you see the energy, this is uplifting energy. So if you have a prolapse, things are either feel that the whole overall energy is downward, even edema. So when we boost up our spleen, actually we can help to uplift the energy that we have in our body, and this manages the fluid, and also helps to produce energy and blood. So this is how we actually view spleen or overall. So there are a few tips, to improve our digestion. First, don't multitask during meals. We always, when we eat, we watch the TV, we use our phone, we read our books. So all these activities actually divert blood away from stomach to your brain. So it prevents you from actually digesting your food that properly. And also we can use more of the seasonal ingredients, so you can align yourself to the natural environment, fresh seasonal food to maintain harmony with your surroundings. So, and as well as we emphasize a lot on the hearty breakfast and the light dinner. So because qi moves through our body in terms of biological clock, so different organs are more energized at different timings. So the stomach and spleen function best in the morning between 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. So other than that, we can actually help our body to digest better if we have a heavy breakfast. So our whole day will start well. Lastly, avoid cold and raw food, because they are foods that actually reduces our agni, which is the digestive fire of our body. So this actually affects our digestion. So what you eat actually affects our immune system. While no single food can actually upgrade your immune system, but poor nutrition can actually have a negative effect, as well as poor absorption of food. So that's why you must have mindfulness eating. And also, what are the points that can actually help with our digestion? This is called 足三里. This is a point that is found in our legs. When you can look at, so 4 fingers down your kneecap, the bottom of your kneecap, and one finger width out of your biggest bone, your tibia bone, which is this bone, one finger outwards lateral. So this is the point where you should be pressing. You can go in circles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then anti-clockwise. So this actually helps, to really boost up our digestive system. because this point is one of the most important point in terms of TCM. It can help in our immune system because, as I said, if you digest food well, your body is able to make use of all the nutrition that you take in, and then that will go into the building blocks for all your immune system, you know, your white blood cells and your platelets and everything. So we can actually boost up our immune system just by improving our digestion. So then the last point that I'm going to share is our stress level. So stress, everyone experience stress. You know, it can be emotional stress, it can be mental stress, it can be work stress, family stress, emotional, and environmental, chemical stress, etc., etc. So one of the interesting tests actually shows 125 men, 151 women, they're exposed to rhinovirus, isolated for 5 days. And they found that, you know, people actually reported less stress in their lives when who reported less stress in their lives, they actually were less likely to develop cold symptoms. Another test also, the researchers inflicted small wounds on the arms of volunteers. Then they asked the couples, you know, to discuss topics both pleasant and unpleasant. So those when the couples argued, right, the wounds took on average a full day longer to heal compared to those who discuss something pleasant. So stress is actually very important, you know, in terms of determining how strong our immune system is. There are a lot of causes for our stress, you know, mental disorder, depression, you know, high blood pressure, sleeping disorder, you know, even social relationships. All these can cause stress. So what are the stress effects on our body? There are a lot. It can cause insomnia, it can cause headache, a weaker immune system, stomach ache, fertility issues. So there's more to it. Stress can cause a lot of problems. But then this is the part that we really care about, because a weak immune system is due to the qi deficiency in our lungs and spleen. Not just this reason, there are a lot of reasons else, but this is one of the main causes. So what can we actually help ourselves with, you know, if we are feeling so stressful and, you know, we couldn't really move on, and we don't know what to do, you know, we just feel we just feel that there's a stagnation in terms of how you breathe and your qi is. So in Ayurveda, or rather, you know, this is a thing that I always encourage my patients to do it, because not just TCM herbs as well as acupressure point, actually you can make use of how you breathe to actually reduce stress in our life. So how do we do it? This is another study. I'm sure all of us will know it. We can do a revision together. So with both our hands, you know, with our thumb and our ring finger, thumb on our right nostril, our ring finger on our left nostril. Okay, so when we start off, when we breathe in, you can breathe in from your left or right. So let's say we breathe in from our left nostril, we breathe in. We close our left nostril and we breathe out through our right nostril. And we breathe in from our right nostril and we breathe out from our left nostril. Take our time to do it. Relax yourself. Left and right, this is one cycle. If you can, if you have time, you know, whenever that you think that you are stressed, you try to do 5 to 10 cycles. Cool yourself down, then continue your work. Because stress actually affects your body to fight off antigens. So when our body immune system is weaker, we'll be more susceptible to infections. So Nadi Shuddhi actually brings our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system into equilibrium. So there's 100 male volunteers, you know, after 12 weeks of Nadi Shuddhi breathing, as well as some modified breathing. So they found that their perceived stress were reduced, and their heart rate, systolic blood pressure, diastolic blood pressure as well. So they were all they got into a more acceptable range. So this is actually very useful to balance our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, because this is what actually causes stress in our body, especially our sympathetic nervous system. So throughout, you know, in terms of biomedical science, in terms of Ayurveda, in terms of TCM, actually they all refer to the same thing. Okay, so this is the final conclusive slide. So this part, this is the Nadi Shuddhi, breathing, left and right, the sun and the moon and the sun. So in terms of Western biomedical science, so we all know, and adrenal glands, cholesterol, pregnenolone. So then pregnenolone will be converted to progesterone and then to cortisol. So when we are actually, stressed up over certain things, so our body will favor this pathway more, produce more cortisol at the expense of progesterone. This is a very important female sex hormone. So this is the part where it's very important for our menses to be regular. So our body will favor this pathway, so much so that at the expense of just progesterone as well as DHEA, testosterone, and estrogen. So this can actually cause haywire in our hormonal system. So balancing our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, what it means to reduce, deactivate, or rather regulates our sympathetic nervous system so that the body won't favor this pathway so much. There's a balance. When there's a need for cortisol, you produce cortisol. When there isn't a need, you stop producing it. So parasympathetic nervous system will brings us to this equilibrium. When it's time to produce whatever hormones at its optimal conditions, then the body will do so. Same thing with this. This is a very, very symbolic sign of TCM. This is the yin yang sign. So yin and yang, also same thing, sun and moon. It's the same thing, parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. It's the same thing, work and life. So to achieve a work-life balance is to achieve a balance between your yin and yang, is to achieve a balance between your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So actually, Ayurveda, biomedical science, and TCM, they all refer to the same thing. We are all looking for that balance that actually can help you to achieve a better stress level, better management of stress levels, a better digestion, as well as a better sleep, so that in altogether, it constitutes to a better immune system. So these are the points that I'll share today regarding, how to actually boost up our immune system. In times of COVID, at home, you don't have really a lot of access to healthcare system, especially now, due to lockdown and everything. So I'm very happy to be here today to share with all of us, how to boost your immunity with acupressure. So with that, thank you so much for having me here today. It's a great pleasure to do so. And thank you. I'll pass the time back to our host today. Hello.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening lecture on boost your immunity with acupressure. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Okay. Is there any questions? No? Oh.